Alright guys, there's been a bunch of new information that surfaced around Assassin's Creed Origins on various different articles coming from Access to the Animus and the Codex. They've kind of talked about the open world and giving a bit more context of the world of the game and what's happening in terms of the politics and everything that's going on with Egypt at the time of Assassin's Creed Origins, and it's quite interesting information, but obviously the main juicy stuff is the open world stuff as well. There's also been some more gameplay released, which shows tomb gameplay in Assassin's Creed Origins, and it looks fucking awesome. So without further ado guys, let's get straight into today's video. Now the first thing you probably noticed in this video, and the first thing that I want to talk about, is this tomb gameplay. Now it's not awfully extravagant, nothing too insane happens, but that's probably why it's one of the playable ones at Gamescom. I'm sure some of the other ones in the open world that you can just find are a lot more exciting than this one. This one was just a small taste of what the tombs will consist of in Assassin's Creed Origins, and it just looks pretty interesting, and obviously I love tombs, and there's over 20 explorable ones in the game, so I'm sure there's some insane tombs that are really fucking awesome, like the one with the big snake inside of it, and they did say there was going to be more types of bosses like the huge snake, so there will not be a shortage of amazing tombs in the game. But anyway, I'm just going to let this gameplay play in the background whilst I talk about the other information that we've got on today, just so you guys can get a look at the gameplay, and I'll leave a link to it in the description if you want to see the raw footage with no commentary over it. So this first piece of information is actually talking about how Ashraf and his team came up with the idea of having the game set in ancient Egypt. So it says, when we started saying let's do ancient Egypt, it was going to be the entire country, says Ashraf Ismail, game director of Assassin's Creed Origins. Ancient Egypt meant many things for us. It meant cities, but also wilderness, and we wanted to show the diversity of this wilderness. And people, as they played the game and get into hours and hours of it, they're constantly seeing new stuff from the world and the environment. The team began with a world around the size of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flags, with one key difference: it's almost all land, and the parts that aren't land are fully realised underwater environments that hide secrets, loot, and dangerous animals. And no matter where you are, there's a density to the landscape that creates the feeling that there's always some area that you haven't explored, something you haven't uncovered. For example, the game's city of Memphis is a massive, almost maze-like landscape of temples, fortresses, and dwellings. Delving into any of these can lead to battles, treasure, new weapons, secret caves, and more, lending importance to every structure, every person, and every opportunity to wander off the beaten path. And all of this is a seamless part of the larger open world, surrounded by miles of farmland, rocky desert, cliffs, and gigantic pyramids that conceal mysteries of their own. In terms of the granularity of the details, the experiences that you can have, the things you can run into, the NPCs, the animals, the fauna, it's much more dense, says Ismail. This is definitely, in terms of content, the biggest world we've ever built. We want the exploration of the world to really be jaw-dropping. We want people to be lost in this world for hours and hours, so the game is quite huge. The world is massive. So from what I've read here, there really is a huge emphasis put on how big the game world is, which makes me very happy. However, you can obviously have a massive game world, but then fill it with nothing. This is something that I always go on about, and it's something that happens a lot in Ubisoft games, but it also says in many other articles that I've read that they worked extremely hard on pumping these huge areas with a lot of content, which seems very promising, and Ashraf Ismail doesn't strike me as the type of guy to lie about his game, because he's very passionate about it, and he wants to be able to show it to as many people as he possibly can. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how big this game is and how much content it has in it, and I'm really confident that this game has a plethora of stuff for us to do in the huge open world. This next section still talks about the open world of the game, but it also talks about how they went about rebuilding and making an accurate version of ancient Egypt around the time of 49 BCE. Egypt, even in the game setting of 49 BCE, was never the undifferentiated landscape of deserts, pyramids, and snazzy headgear so often portrayed in fiction. It was huge and cosmopolitan, and its status as a hub of trade, agriculture, and craftsmanship made it a giant among the cluster of ancient civilizations that huddled around the Mediterranean. From Alexandria to Memphis, Egypt was a place of geographical contrast and cultural diversity, and recreating the entire country as a single open world is one of Assassin's Creed Origins' greatest achievements. When you compare the game's map to the real world map, when you look at it very quickly, you feel like this is Egypt, says Maxime Durand, Assassin's Creed Origins' resident historian. The proportions make sense. You have the Nile to the east, you have the deserts down south in the west, and you have the Libyan plateau out the west of Alexandria. When you look at precise points, you realise that we play a lot with size and distances, says Durand. But wherever you are in the world, you know where you're located. You have landmarks to look at and orient yourself. You can see some of the mountains to help you understand where you are. You can use the pyramids to know where you're at, or the lighthouse of Alexandria. We have different regions in the game that are inspired by history, inspired by real places, adds Durand. All of these regions are unique. They have their own flavour and their own people. There are a lot of deserts, but a lot of them are unique, says Durand. They're linked with reality because we studied them. We studied the Libyan Plateau, the Katra Depression, all of these places that make Egypt what it is as a country. One of my favourite places in the world is the White Desert, because it has these very uniquely structured rocks, and it's built off of the real White Desert, says Ismail. The Black Desert, which is close by, is a very foreign environment that does feel a bit alien, and then the sand dunes, the classic image that people have, that area is just awesome. We have systems that run in these deserts. We try to make the desert experience feel unique in itself. So it seems they've put a lot of thought and a lot of time into creating the open world and making it as authentic as it possibly could to ancient Egypt. Now, they've even gone to the lengths of hiring historians to, get help with the various different places in ancient Egypt, such as Memphis. They tried to make that as accurate as possible, and I really think it's great they're handling it so well, and it seems like they've done a really, really good job of rebuilding a realistic open world of ancient Egypt. This section here gives us an insight into the content that these huge areas of land are filled with, because fair enough, you can create a huge open world and have, vast areas of land, but you need to have it filled with stuff, and this bit kind of talks a little bit about how they've tried to fill every section of land with tons of content for the player to explore. Next to capturing the scale and detail of Egypt, the game's biggest task might be filling its vast spaces with interesting things to see and do. The Egypt of Assassin's Creed Origins is a dynamic place, one where you'll always be able to find wildlife to hunt, a secret to uncover, a bandit gang to raid, or a quest to pursue. In fact, you'll need to discover the game's quests on your own, and there are always multiple ways to do it. A vital contact might direct you to someone who wants you to check on a friend in danger, for example, or you might just stumble onto that friend while exploring and get pulled into a new adventure. You can even leave a quest at any time, pursue other tasks, and pick up again from where you left off. It's a way to enhance the narrative experience, to create unique opportunities for missions, and to create setups with the new AI so our crowd has a 24-hour cycle and an agenda. The AI creates unique experiences, and we don't always know what's going to happen, so you might be looking for a target and actually he's being eaten by a crocodile in the Nile, so you just need to find the proof he's dead. But for another player, they might actually need to find the target or interrogate him, or interrogate other people to locate that target. The new quest system allows us to create so many more characters and unique stories to tell the players, which is really at the core of the Assassin's Creed experience. Designing quests around this kind of dynamic world, Ismail says, is a very meticulous process, so is finding a balance between the fun of exploring the game's spaces and the need to make those spaces feel alive. For example, you might have some bandits that attack a little village, and as the player's running through, whether they're going to the village because of a quest, or because they need a shop, or because there's a little puzzle to discover in this little village, whatever the reason is, the game is offering them many ways to engage with that village, systematically or through a quest. And here it's about players being lost in the world, but still having the controls and the capacities to understand what is offered to them and how they can interact with it. There are plenty of side activities you can pursue more deliberately too. Nosing around an old ruin, for example, might reveal a dark dungeon filled with puzzles and traps, which Bayek can explore for treasure and other rewards. The biggest standout activities so far, however, are gladiator arenas and hippodromes, ancient race courses that let Bayek compete at the reins of a 4-horse chariot. The arena and hippodrome are both integrated into the main storyline, but quickly become optional activities that offer unique encounters and rewards, giving players the chance to test their skills and pursue ancient stardom whenever they want. So this is proof that they're really trying to fill the world with content. This is something that I was incredibly worried about. I really thought that it was going to be a huge open world and there was going to be nothing to do in it. But as you've seen from the various gameplay demos and all of the proof that we've got from interviews and articles that have been written about the game seems to be absolutely filled to the brim of content, and that makes me incredibly happy because there's nothing I like more than content, and the only game that's got it right for me in terms of a huge open world and the content in the game has got to be The Witcher 3, and if Assassin's Creed Origins is following in the footsteps of that game, I really have no problem with that, because that's a phenomenal game, and it really should be the standard of open world games nowadays, and I'm really happy with how Assassin's Creed Origins is handling the content and the size of its map and the quest system. It's all coming together to make a really, really awesome game. Anyway, there is a lot more information on this article that gives you an insight on the various different historical characters that are in the game, and it tells you a little about their life and a little bit about what they're going to be doing in Assassin's Creed Origins. But to be fair, you guys probably came here just to hear the open world information. I'm going to leave a link to this in the description, and you guys can go and read upon all these various different characters. There's also a little bit of information on Bayek himself as well, and it is quite interesting, so I suggest you guys go and read that if you want to. Anyway, that is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed and found this news informative. Be sure to go ahead and like and subscribe for more gaming news and content in the future, and also remember to comment down in the comment section below telling me what you think of all of this news to do with the open world. Also, I'm going to be doing a video very soon on who are the masked people in Assassin's Creed Origins, because there's a little bit of confusion around who they are, and they're quite mysterious, so I'm going to give my theories as to who they are. And, you know, obviously they're Templars and stuff like that, we know that, but, like, what are their motives and what do they want to do in the game? So, that's going to be an interesting video to make, and, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.